Hello everyone, this is the Cluster PI office hour meetings. Today is Wednesday, 27th of November. So let's, before starting, usual reminder, we abide to the community code of conduct. Please be kind with each other. If you want to speak, use the raise hand feature. And if you have topics, feel free to add them to the agenda, as well as if you don't mind, please add your name to the attendee list so we keep track of folks which are joining this meeting. And with that, I think we can get started. So we usually welcome new attendee at the beginning of the meeting. So if you are a new attendee, feel free to speak up, introduce yourself. Okie dokie, we don't have a new attendee. Let's move to open proposal readouts. We have two open proposals. One is the in-place upgrade proposal. I'm not aware of update there. And then there is the proposal for the working group for the no bootstrap or refactor bootstrap. I don't know this. What is no bone? And I see there is an update.
Node bootstrapping. I just tried to short it.
Node bootstrapping. Okay. Nobu. Okay.
Nobo.
Nobu. Okay. Good.
So yeah, we got a lot of feedback on the PR, and we actually got traction on the PR regarding the purpose of the working group. So people joined in and actually already started technical issues that the working group set out to more or less host, which is awesome. That's the kind of traction we want. I have LGTM from you, Fabrizio, and I'm willing to get this on the road if people think that proposal looks good. One thing that was mentioned, as you see, most of the discussions and the feedbacks actually things that we should do in the working group with YAML examples on how it might look like, which is amazing. It's pretty great. And what was also clear from the discussion is that I think one of the first steps in the working group is to recognize a number of directions this could go, because there were kind of diverging proposals in for the first issue that we want to tackle in the working group, which is basically an overhaul in the Bootstrap provider. Currently, there are at least two configurations in the kubeadm Bootstrap provider. One is Cloud Init and the other is Ignition. And just because the Bootstrap provider was more or less written for Cloud Init, it looks a little ugly right now, and it would need some abstraction or separation or any other solution that makes it better maintainable. And ideally, the configuration were conceptually portable to other Bootstrap providers. But that's what we set out to do. No need to discuss it here. We have significant traction already. I know that Johanna has expressed interest in working on that. I see that Fabrizio and I think Stefan have spoken up with architectural ideas, which is nice. I have kind of a soft okay from Matt, who unfortunately didn't join today. Matt Bersma, who is in the CapZ project, very active in the CapZ project. He wants to take a look if time allows, and we have Mathieu Tortougeot from my team, who wants to bring himself in from the operating system side. He has limited cluster API experience. He supports multiple cluster API providers from the Flatcar side, so he did do some architecture encoding, but he'll be more coming from the operating system side. So we actually have significant traction in the from the engineering side already. I think even Michael from Red Hat spoke up and expressed some initial interest, but we'll basically see as the working group goes. So feel free to give the PR another review. I moved it out of work in progress because I somewhat got a preliminary green light for it, and you can give it another review. I'll watch the PR and make sure issues are addressed, and then we can get it merged and can get the thing on the road. The one feedback item which is not yet addressed in the PR was very good feedback, is that we should have at least a somewhat regular meeting, which makes a lot of sense to me. So the two things I would like to put into meetings for that specific working group before the start of the festive days, which is in about a month, and then we have Thanksgiving in between, obviously, is to have at least a kickoff meeting and an architectural discussion. So we have some of the approaches, of the possible approaches discussed and documented, and have the working group like formally started. So that's something I'd like to get on the road. I'll iterate on that as soon as the PR is merged. I'll use the Cluster API Slack channel for pinging folks and for planning. And basically for putting everyone together, and then we'll set up a meeting that works for everybody involved. There's a minor a question I have for the meetings because I'm not a Zoom aficionado that much. I only have like a private license, an unpaid license, and I know that the features in the unpaid account for Zoom are somewhat limited. We in the project we maintain our own Jitsi server in the Flatcar project. So if it works for people, I would put our initial kickoff meeting there. We can live stream the meeting to a YouTube account, so we have a recording checked off. But I'll put that again to discussion in the Cluster API Slack channel. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much for the detailed update, Tilo. So I first comment on the meeting. Usually, other working groups, they usually use the same Zoom meeting that we are using now. And so I can give basically host credential to someone to kick off the recording. And the big advantage is that everyone already knows this link.
Perfect. Yeah, that makes sense.
And the only caveat is that only one group can use the meeting at the same time. So
yeah, okay.
You have to find a slot which is not already busy, but I think that it is used for this meeting, for the release team meeting that happens half an hour before this meeting, and for the Carpenter working group that happens half an hour, that happen right after this meeting. So basically, if you avoid this Wednesday, this time slot, you should be fine.
I think any other day than Wednesday should work because this is a very desirable time slot. So that's good input. Thank you.
And yeah, for the rest, I think that just if possible, please resolve the comments that are okay or defer to discussion working group. So also folks that looks at the PR get the feeling that is nearing completion. Everything else is, I think, so I will try, as I wrote in my comment, I will try to find out time.
Awesome.
I would like to get an LGTM from some other of the maintainers. I know that there was discussion at KubeCon. Unfortunately, I was not there. So I think that, let me say, I don't see required to get the PR finished and measure before having the first meeting. We can do no matter
okay.
of. It is just the real issue will be to find a slot that is suitable for most of the folks. But usually it works. You can throw out what is called the application. I'm blanking out the application where you basically you propose a couple of dates for the meeting and people vote. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Or whatever ways you prefer to organize a
Doodle.
meeting.
It's Doodle.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, if there are someone else that want to comment on this? Otherwise, let's keep going. There is momentum, as you are saying. Okay, Christian also wrote that he will try to catch up, and this is good. And another maintainer on the page. Okay, so if for a tech discussion, I see you're taking note. It's not necessary that we add tech details to the working group charter. We can have them in a document like we have the first version of the proposal, whatever that most suit you. The fastest and the easiest works. I think that for the charter of the working group, we are mostly okay. Okay, if that's okay, I move on to discussion topics. And I have the first two, but if Sunat wants, we can give... he can speak first because this is important. I think this is more important. Sunat?
Yeah, thank you, Fabrizio. So yeah, first thing, yeah, we yesterday released V1 .9.0 RC0. So, and we also set up the tests, like CI team set up the tests. Yeah, there was some issues on the test, but I think they're getting better now, so it's fine. And the more important one is like Capi v1.10.0, like v1.10 release team is calling for volunteers. So if you or someone you know or your teammates are interested, please let them know, and we will. Yeah, we start organizing the new release team. So which will be basically from yeah, as if I remember correctly, like from beginning of January and the mid-April. So I will put the dates on the document a bit later. Yeah.
Okay, first of all, thank you. Again, congratulations for the amazing job in creating the release. Just to highlight what happened yesterday, not only we created the release, but we created the release branch. We created all the jobs for the new release branch, and a couple of other PRs that goes around. So that was an amazing teamwork. And congrats everyone who did this. Two PSA that are due in this when release happen. One is, please folks, we need help from everyone in testing the new release, so we avoid surprise after it goes GA. And this is basically mostly a call for the providers implementers. And second, again, super important, super useful for the community, finding volunteer for the release team. As I said last week, our capacity to release with a cadence is one of the best features of Cluster API. And also, another thing that I like to point out is that working the release team helped folks like Sonat and a good number of folks to step up in Cluster API and learn how part of Cluster API, or at least the release machinery in Cluster API works. And this is super useful for the community, for the health of this community. So it is an opportunity for you to learn. The effort is, I think that is reasonable, but please, Sonat, keep me honest about this. It is the release span on over 2 months, but basically over 4 months. There are monthly releases, so it is 1 day every month, and there is some work to chase down flakes. That can happen, I don't know, 1 or 2 hours every week. So it is sustainable, a good opportunity to learn, get visibility in the community. So, Christian.
Yeah, I just want to mention a thing with the RC release. We're now in code freeze, and if we have bug fixes going to main, we should ensure to cherry pick them to the release branch too, and not forget that.
Thank you. That's a great call. We are now in code freeze.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, like, to the points. It's exactly as you said. It's very great opportunity to jump into the, like, to start with the cluster API to learn about it, and also the release process. It during this release cycle helped quite a lot of folks to actually contribute to cluster API several times. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And this is happening since almost 2 years now. So we really hope that we can keep going. And if there are no comments, we can move on. So I have the next 2 points. I try to keep the first one very, very short. So while reviewing stuff for the release, I found that we have a field on the machine deployment spec, which is progress deadline seconds, which is not used anywhere in the code base. So I'm proposing to deprecate it, even if we are past code freeze, because it's not used. So let's try to give a warning as soon as possible to folks, and so we can remove it in the next API version. But yeah, I'm waiting for some other core contributor to give a feedback. And next one. So as you know, this release has a couple of very nice features, drain, new cluster cache tracer, but it also has new conditions. So I think that it is important to share what actually the work for new condition is. And so I started to collect a few highlights into this presentation, just because it is easier to tell, to have a narrative about it. There are a lot of features. So let me start. And so the main TLDR is that with KPI 1.9, all the core cluster API resources have a new v1 beta field under status. Okay, this field, what does it contain, this field? It contains a production ready, so the code should be already production ready, preview of the change that will land in the next API version. And those changes are mostly new improved conditions and new improved replica counters. So when you're testing, if you can look at what the information that now exists under the field, it will be great if you can provide feedback. And just to give a sneak peek of what those information are, so I started using basically a feature, a command in cluster catalog, which is cluster catalog describe cluster, which now supports a new v1 beta 2 flags. And if you use these, you can get an overview of what's going on. How this command works, it basically gives a hierarchical view of the cluster. So on the top, you have the cluster, below you have the control plane with its own machines, and below you have workers, machine deployments with their own machine set and machines. So I'm hiding on the right part of the cluster catalog output. I will basically shed the light as soon as I explain, just to to have a sort of narrative. So the first thing one of the two things that we discussed is replica counters. So replica counters, we are sort of user to them. We already have them in machine deployment and control plane. Okay, the news is that now there are two news. The first one is that replica counter now bubbles up to the cluster level. So if you look at your cluster, you will have an immediate overview of how many replicas do you have, control plane replicas, worker replicas. And the second news is that now all the replica counters, so the replica counter across different objects are all the same. They are consistent. Before there was a sort of, not before, in V1 Beta 1, we have a sort of inconsistent approach. Some object as, for instance, some object as available replicas, some other objects as unavailable replicas. And so it is not easy to compute, to look at the stuff when you are troubleshooting. And now they are consistent. So what else? So next step is that the new replica counters have a direct connection with machine condition. So when you see 13 replica counter, you should expect to find 13 machines with ready true. Okay, and before this wasn't the case because for instance, machine deployment replicas in V1 Beta 1 is the number of Kubernetes nodes with ready true. So it does not match with machine ready. And this is another small thing that really helps when you are troubleshooting. These are, again, improving consistencies in cluster API status. And just to highlight, this consistency allows you basically to do troubleshooting with two different approaches. So you can start from the cluster, look at what is not wrong for you, and then drill down till the single machine. And you can also do the same the other way around. You can start from machines and basically go up to the cluster. Everything should be consistent. Even if Kubernetes is an eventually consistent system, so there could be some delay in updates object, but it works well. So, so far so good. Questions till now? Okay. Eventual inconsistency. Yeah, Jonathan, you're correct. Okay, let's keep moving. So, what else? When implementing new conditions, we invested some time to make sure that those conditions are in an order that makes sense. And the approach that we use is that condition order should help troubleshooting. And so the idea is that you always have to read the condition from top to bottom. And if a condition is false, the following conditions should help to explain why. I'm fixing the slide while I speak. So the example is, if you look at the machine, you have a variable. So if a machine is not available, it is because ready that it follows is not because it's not true. And if the machine is not true, is not ready, so ready is not true, it is because some of the conditions that follow, in this case, bootstrap config ready, infrastructure ready, not healthy, and not ready, are one of them is not okay. So, and not this is when you will look at some real case. I will try to collect some of them. This will be even more simple because the reason of the message of every condition will help you to move to the next step. For instance, ready available will tell you not ready, or ready will tell you bootstrap config as an issue. So the order and the message, everything is designed to help troubleshooting. And just to highlight this again, conditions are ordered for all the objects, not only for machine. So the same approach top-down can apply to machine deployment, KCP, and the cluster. And next up, so another change that we introduced with the new condition is that the machine-ready condition is now extensible. So we support a thing that we call it readiness gates. So, and this is the example. So the control plane machine that are created by KCP will have an extended definition of ready that includes condition about the TCD, but also control plane component. So if you look at this, let me make this bigger. So for the machine deployment down below, you see that the ready condition is basically the summary of 4 conditions. But for a machine which is created by KCP, ready is not only these 4 conditions, but it also includes a TTCD pod LT, a TTCD member LT, API server pod LT, and so on. So in other words, what does it mean? It means that your control plane machine with the new condition will be ready when all the control plane components will be ready, which makes a lot of sense. And just to finish today's introduction, so we have a new up-to-date condition in the machine. We sort of skipped it in the previous slide. But if false, it means that your machine is not up to date with the machine deployment or the control plane that owns the machine. And the interesting part of this is that in the message, we are also surfacing why the machine is not up to date. So you will find stuff like, oh, the version is not up to date. We have this 130, and while 131 is required. Or you will find a message like, vSphere machine is not up to date because a template was rotated, or kubeadmin config is not up to date, or failure domain is changed, or rollout after expired, or a combination of those. And this, and this will, I think that this will really help. So when I'm in supporting customer or triaging issue, often the question is, why my machine is rolling out? And this will basically give you the answer. And just to complete the first overview of machine condition, so we have a new posed condition. And this today is not so visible that an object is posed, and it's even less visible when the entire cluster is posed. And so basically today, with new condition, posed will go to true if the cluster or the object, in this case the machine, is posed, and the message will even explain which one of them is posed, is blocking reconciliation. And just to highlight a technical detail, but which is a great improvement. So we are now adopting fully Kubernetes compliant condition. That means that, for instance, we support both positive and negative polarity condition. Before it was not the case. We are now using a meta v1 condition type, and instead before we had a custom condition type. And then many other small details that the Kubernetes guideline suggests, like all the condition should be managed by a controller, should be set at the first reconcile. We should set a reason, we should always set a reason, and so on and so forth. So, and just to highlight, so we are now adopting fully Kubernetes compliant condition. That means that, for instance, we support both positive and negative polarity condition. Before it was not the case. We are now using meta v1 condition type, and instead before we had a custom condition type. And then many other small details that the Kubernetes guideline suggests, like all the condition should be set at the first reconcile. We should set a reason, we should always set a reason, and so on and so forth. So let me say, this is all I have for managed to prepare this week after the release. I will come up next week with something more, maybe some use cases, what happened when you roll out, what happened when you remediate a machine, stuff like that. So I hope this was interesting. Are there comments, remarks? Okie dokie. So thank you, Jacob, for the feedback. Yeah, it is a big change, but I think that it brings a lot of value, and I hope that those slides start to uncover the tip of the iceberg of the value that we are bringing in. Again, if you have a chance, please take a look at 1.9 release. All these changes that we discussed are included. And let's keep moving on with our agenda. We have provider updates, and the first is from Jacob and Mohammed.
Yes, just a quick note that we've released the version 1.0 of the in-cluster IPAM provider, which marks it as GA, I guess. It's been tested for a bit, both, well, not so extensively on our side, but Mohammed, they've tested it, I think, quite a bit, and it was stable, so should be production ready, I would say.
Thank you, Jacob.
No significant changes.
Yeah, this is awesome. This is great to see another provider reach V1 V10, and it is great also to see another family of provider finally taking off. So great, and thank you especially to you that started all this effort with the proposal, I think 1 year or 1 year and a half ago. Thank you.
I think it's more than that, but thanks.
Yeah, probably
quite
yes.
a long time, but
thank you, and thank you everyone working and contributing on this provider. And what we have next, Christian, I guess, with KPV.
Yep. Oh, sorry, forgot to add my name. Yeah, we already catched up with CAPI 1.9 RC0 and released 1.12 RC0 for CAPV2.
Thank you for this upgrade. So we are at the end of our agenda. Are there any last minute topics that folks want to bring up? Okay, we are done for today. Thank you everyone for attending. See you next week. Happy Thanksgiving. Bye.